What would you give up if your family was on the edge of losing everything? For her, the answer was clear. A quiet morning in Japan unfolded alongside troubling news of economic slowdowns and shrinking markets. The company where Tsukasa's husband worked began to struggle, not suddenly, but steadily. Overtime vanished, bonuses disappeared, and their once reliable income grew uncertain. As months passed, savings thinned, and the home they loved became a burden they could no longer carry. Selling it was a quiet, painful decision. Moving into a smaller apartment felt heavy, yet Tsukasa refused despair. She knew financial strain could weaken more than comfort. It could threaten family bonds, and she was determined to protect them. Instead of waiting for circumstances to improve, Tsukasa chose action. Not reckless action, not desperate measures. Thoughtful, deliberate steps rooted in responsibility and care. She believed that dignity mattered even in hardship, especially in hardship. Late one evening, when the apartment was quiet and the world felt paused, she spoke honestly with her husband. Not with fear, not with blame, but with calm resolve. They talked about options, about pride, about what truly mattered. And that was when Tsukasa decided she would do more than endure this moment. She would carry it. Not because she had to, but because she chose to. Because for her, protecting her family did not mean grand gestures or loud sacrifices. It meant quiet strength, practical choices, and the courage to step forward when everything felt uncertain. This was not the end of their struggle, but it was the beginning of something else, something stronger. Once Tsukasa made the decision to act, her focus shifted from what they had lost to what they could still control. She began by studying their situation carefully, the way someone does when they refuses to be overwhelmed. But no matter how carefully she calculated, one reality remained unavoidable. Rent was still their greatest burden. Instead of allowing that pressure to quietly grow into resentment or anxiety, Tsukasa chose to face it directly. She believed in honest conversation, especially when it felt uncomfortable. So she arranged a meeting with their landlord, not with complaints or demands, but with respect. She understood that he, too, had responsibilities and costs to manage. This was not about asking for sympathy. It was about proposing a solution. When the day came, Tsukasa spoke calmly and clearly. She explained their situation without dramatizing it. No excuses, no emotional appeals, just the truth. She then made an unexpected offer. Rather than paying the full rent in cash, she was willing to contribute her time and effort, cleaning common areas, helping with maintenance tasks, taking care of responsibilities the landlord usually had to outsource. It was not a desperate idea. It was a practical one. For the landlord, it meant reduced expenses and reliable help. For Tsukasa's family, it meant breathing room, a chance to stay afloat without falling into debt or constant stress. After a moment of consideration, the landlord agreed, not out of pity, but because the proposal made sense. From that point on, Tsukasa's days grew longer. Mornings started earlier. She cleaned hallways before the city fully woke up. She checked shared spaces, organized storage areas, and handled small tasks that rarely get noticed but always matter. Some days were physically tiring. Others were simply repetitive. But Tsukasa approached each task with care, not because someone was watching, but because she took pride in doing things properly. She never presented herself as a victim. To neighbors, she was polite and quiet. To her family, she remained steady and reassuring. Even when exhaustion crept in, she chose not to let it shape her attitude. Complaints, she believed, would only drain the energy she needed to keep going. Her husband noticed the change, of course. He saw how much she was carrying, even when she didn't say a word. There were moments when he offered to stop her, to take on more himself, to find another solution. But Tsukasa always answered gently. This was not about proving strength. It was about partnership, about doing what was necessary, together, in the way that worked best for their family at that moment. What made Tsukasa's sacrifice remarkable was not the work itself, but the intention behind it. She wasn't trying to save appearances. She wasn't trying to control the future. She was simply protecting the present, protecting the calm of shared meals, the quiet of evenings without arguments, the dignity of facing hardship without letting it break them. The weight in their home began to lift, not because the problems were gone, but because they were being faced. Stress turned into structure, fear turned into routine, and routine, when built on purpose, became stability. Tsukasa understood a powerful truth. Sacrifice doesn't always look dramatic. Sometimes it looks like showing up every day, doing uncelebrated work, and choosing patience over panic. And in doing so, she was not just paying rent. She was preserving trust, respect, and the invisible strength that holds a family together. As weeks became months, Tsukasa's life settled into a demanding yet steady rhythm shaped by responsibility. Fatigue appeared in quiet moments, aching hands, late nights, a pause at the door before entering, but she met them with calm, believing her family deserved peace. She kept their home warm and stable, offering simple meals, gentle conversations, and quiet reassurance. Her husband continued searching for work, facing hope and rejection with dignity, and Tsukasa supported him through trust rather than words. Though sacrifice weighed on her, she focused on what it protected: unity, dignity, and emotional safety. Neighbors and her landlord noticed her reliability, and small signs of respect followed. Over time, her steadiness eased the tension in their lives. The apartment no longer symbolized loss, but endurance. Tsukasa realized that chosen sacrifice does not diminish a person, it strengthens them. Through quiet courage and consistency, she preserved what mattered most and helped her family face uncertainty with resilience and love. There is a quiet moment when struggle begins to teach instead of test, and for Tsukasa, it came with the realization that her family remained steady despite hardship. The pressure had not vanished, but it no longer defined them. She learned that protection is not avoiding difficulty, but standing firm within it. Her sacrifice was guided by care, not fear, preserving dignity and trust. Gradually, stability returned in small ways, renewed hope, forward-looking conversations, growing confidence. Tsukasa discovered that true strength is quiet and consistent, expressed through daily choices that protect relationships. She did not save her family with one heroic act, but through steady love that turned uncertainty into resilience. The lesson from this story is that in the most difficult moments, love and a sense of responsibility are the greatest strengths of any family. When each person is willing to sacrifice, share, and stand together, no challenge is impossible to overcome. If you found this story meaningful and inspiring, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel to help spread more positive stories about family and life.